Hello there, everybody. Today we are talking about if Dark and Darker is dying. And the simple answer right off the bat is no. Now, a couple people who have disliked some of the changes that have been going on with the game have been saying, oh, Dark and Darker is dying. It's not doing well. It's going to die. It's perishing. Haven't you been seeing that the player numbers are going down? Yada, yada. Now, with that, you need to keep in mind that this is a looter game. And with it being a looter game, then that means that a lot of people, after the wipe has left, a lot of people just aren't going to play as much anymore. A lot of people just like playing at the wipes, and that is perfectly fine. I don't think many games really hold up super well to needing 80 hours a week of playing constantly, and I don't think there's any game out there at all that holds up well at all to people playing it 80 hours a week. I think pretty much every game like that people get burnt out on, and that is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And then, they come back, after a wipe happens or something like that. Your life does not have to be this video game at the end of the day, and that is perfectly fine. Now, that said, are the player numbers going down? They've decreased a little bit, but we've seen this with Escape from Tarkov before, where, after a wipe, there's a lot more players. And then once the wipe has happened for a while, then no longer is the wipe going to keep those player numbers high. It's just some people want to come back and only play right after a wipe has happened. And that is fine. Now, some of this complaining comes from people who are unhappy with changes. And that is also perfectly fine. There are some changes that they can do that are not so good all the time. And that needs to be recognized that, hey, maybe Iron Mace has done a couple bad changes. It happens sometimes. Or maybe they've done a couple good changes as well. Oh, I got hit by that. That is the way you dodge those, by the way. You crouch and look down. I was just a little bit too slow for it. Okay, and there goes that wizard. We're just going to grab some loot here. Is that a Phoenix Choker? 1 true magical damage, 2 strength. Okay, cool. Let's put it on. A little bit better than what we had on before. And rather than saying, hey, I dislike this change, some players are saying, hey, this game is dying because XYZ change. Not everyone dislikes the changes you dislike. There are some changes that I would greatly dislike that other players would greatly like. And there are some changes that I would really love that a whole bunch of players would greatly dislike. And that is perfectly fine. It is very difficult to make a video game that works for everyone, and quite frankly, impossible to make a video game that is everyone's favorite video game. And so they've got to do, okay, maybe they can decide we want to adhere to the largest number of players, or maybe we want to adhere to the players who are going to stick around the longest. They decide something like that. It is a business at the end of the day for Iron Mace. And then they make the game to that. Another problem that people have been pointing out is that Iron Mace has been changing the game a little too quickly, actually, which is an odd thing to say, where they've kind of been giving us whiplash with how quickly the changes are and how far the directions they go in are. Okay, buddy. I don't know why this guy pushed me, but all right. And when you give the players whiplash like that, like they had really nerfed the gear, and then they kind of reverted it all back, plus there were still the changes with how much more common gear items are, that level of whiplash is quite difficult to maintain a player base sometimes, because you both make one side of the community angry who don't like those changes, and then you bring it back to them. So you end up making both sides of the community angry because we as people feel our negative feelings heavier than we feel our positive feelings. And so they're trying to adhere to everyone when they cannot. Is that going to kill the game? No, absolutely not. Anyone who's saying it is going to kill the game is very, very wrong. Well, I took the portal from him. Okay, we're back in another game now. Okay, back to the point. So if anyone is going and saying, oh, the game's dying over XYZ changes, they are a little bit too emotionally invested. That is all I can say there about them. that does not mean that all criticism about the game is wrong. Some criticism about the game could be right. But when you start just saying, oh, this is gonna kill the game for XYZ reason because my fifis don't like it, then we're gonna have a problem. And you're just being sensationalist. The game is not dying, that is not happening. And then you'll also see the Redditors who are going, oh, this game's dying, all my friends have quit, I have no one left to play with, XYZ, da-da-da-da-da. And they just don't understand, hey, some people move on, they're just waiting for the next wipe before they play again, and we're honestly probably going to go in the direction of Escape from Tarkov, where a wipe happens, players come back for a bit, and that's when you have the highest player counts. And when there hasn't been a wipe for a while, that's when you're going to have your lowest player counts. That's fairly normal direction. Another point I wanted to add, I think taking some ideas from Escape from Tarkov would be good here. Maybe for those Redditors who, you know, they're a bit more of a casual gamer and they aren't super good and they struggle to get gear together. Maybe implementing like a scav mode or something similar to that would be good. They spawn in with a couple items and you could run that, say, once every hour or so. And you spawn with a couple items into a game and you can run it with your friends if you would like to. You could do that in a duo, trio, whatever you would like to do, and you'll just spawn in with a couple items, and if you get out with those items, you get to keep them. We could see some things like that tested, and that might be good to help keep the newer players or the more casual players involved, because at the very least, they could play that scav mode, and they could get a couple gear pieces they spawn in with. It wouldn't exactly be a kitted set, but it would be a little bit easier for them. And also, they could get out with that and build up sets over time, so if they get out on 10 scav runs, then they have a kit put together, and they can't complain about, oh, I don't have a kit anymore. Really? Bye-bye, both of you. You guys are my loot now. Ruby silver ore, that's what we like to see. Those are really crappy swords. How about these trousers? Those trousers are very good. Those arm it though. Those are exact copies of my boots, which means I would like them. 2 strength, 3 max health. That's a slight upgrade. Okay, we got a couple slight upgrades from them. And I really think implementing some systems that would help out new players would be very helpful for the longevity of this game. Does that mean without those systems, this game's going to die? No. Absolutely not. I do not agree with that for a second. But I do think the game's player counts would be a bit higher if they did that, and I think those would be good changes to make. There's no reason to be super sensationalist about this. It doesn't make much sense to do so, and really, we should just be level-headed about this. Yeah, there are some changes they can make to the game that are just not good for the game. That can happen. It can happen quite easily. And those changes should be called out, and suggestions should be given of, hey, XYZ would be better. And maybe they will make those changes. They do listen to the community, but sometimes also the community is wrong, and the community honestly seems oftentimes like a bunch of big babies who just have no idea what they're talking about, and they think everything is the end of the world because they're way too emotionally invested. There's a portal right over there. We hear another player. And I think Iron Mace really needs to put together a spine as well so that they can know how they need to put together the game. They have data on the back end, so they should be able to know better than what the players do about how to make these changes and how to keep players more involved. And keeping more players involved is a good thing. That will make queue times much, much faster. And that is a very good thing. Thought I heard someone over there, but I think they ran away, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Wow, this guy was trying to smoke someone real quick. And another point, we shouldn't be listening to the people who think, oh, the video game's perfect already. They should just keep it exactly as it is. It's perfectly fine. Has no issues. Nothing is ever wrong. And because sometimes things are wrong, and the game is in early access, and there absolutely is a point to making suggestions. And when people are saying, oh, the early access defense doesn't work, that's because they have been hurt by other video games before. And I get it. I mean, I played Escape from Tarkov before this, and those guys are terrible developers. I do not like the developers of Escape from Tarkov, and they just promise too much and deliver too little after promising all of that. This is different, though, because these developers are changing things rapidly. And they actually are changing things the way they say they will change things. It's not like they're promising us 1,000 features and then they're giving us one a year. They have been doing major updates every like 2 weeks or so. It's been insane how quickly they've been able to put out those updates. And good for them. I like seeing a dev studio that works really hard to make a good game. They're obviously putting in a ton of hours because their team is not particularly all that large, and they're doing a good job with it. The early access defense is a thing here, and it should be a thing. When you start saying, oh, they don't get the early access defense, that's because you've been hurt by a game like DayZ before, or something like that before. And yeah, those games did horribly. Those games just absolutely mistreated their player base to a horrific degree, and they should not be trusted. But there has been no showcase from Iron Mace that there's no reason to trust them, and they're out here just to farm us for money, and da-da-da-da-da. And I really think Iron Mace should not listen to people who are, like, really hurt and turned off from early access games like Escape from Tarkov. I think those people should be absolutely not listened to, because they are just going to be doomers all the time and go, there's no way you could do that. It takes XYZ amount of years to code one simple fix for one thing, and it's too hard, and these developers can't be trusted. Those people should not be listened to at all. Those people should just be left out to rot. Their changes and what they want for suggestions, screw them. Those people need to be left out to rot because they will kill the video game. We do not need doomers in the video game. Those are not necessary. Those are not good for the community. Get rid of them. Do not adhere to them. Do not do anything like that for them. It's not helpful, and you do not want to foster that type of player base. It is very, very bad for the game. And you also don't want to foster a player base that goes, oh, XYZ company can do nothing wrong. Because Escape from Tarkov has fostered both of those communities simultaneously. And the Doomers all already quit, and they were fostering them for a bit. They're already gone. And then all the people who are like, XYZ company can't do anything wrong. You know what ended up happening? All the casuals have quit from Escape from Tarkov. Especially with their cheater scenario. No one really seems to actually play that game anymore. It's just the cheaters are absurd. It used to have a way larger player base. That's not to say it's a completely dead game, but that's another thing. Iron Mace, are we seeing them not deal with cheaters? I haven't run into a cheater in like a month. And the one time I did run into one, it's definitely not like an Escape from Tarkov cheater where they were just loot vacuuming everything from off the map, and then I was just dying instantly the moment I spawned into the round. It was more like, okay, he has a little bit extra melee range than me. Is that unovercomable? Sometimes it is unovercomable. I mean, they are still a hacker at the end of the day. But it's nothing like Escape from Tarkov, where they just shoot everyone on the map immediately. Everyone dies instantaneously, and then no one has a chance. That is garbage. And I see people bringing up the Cycle Frontier, and they're going, gear disparity will kill the game. That's what killed the Cycle Frontier. You're wrong. What killed the Cycle Frontier was copious amounts of cheaters. I swear a good half the players in that video game were cheaters. You cannot have a game like that with that level of cheaters. The game will die. It absolutely will perish. And that is the only way I would actually say this game dies. If the cheaters ever get out of control and they don't get them back under control, that will kill the game. Okay, we got another barbarian. Those are something to watch out for. You're in another portal spawn. And that's really where I think they need to keep their focus. There is a person right there. Hello? I think he DC'd. You gotta be kidding me. I'm getting pinched between two players right now. And so I once again want to say, they need to put a big focus on the anti-cheat. If they want the game to stay alive, that is something that they need to do to keep the game alive. Other than that, though, all these other things that people are saying are going to kill the game, they're wrong. I don't know what they're talking about. The game is still very playable. It is not in an unplayable state. You don't die to a hacker immediately every game. That is not something that's happening right now. Gear disparity is not dying to a hacker or anything like that. Wow, these guys are annoying. Okay, we've got a couple portals over here. What were you doing? What was that? And he put up a trap over there for me already, so we're good on that front. This guy's fairly geared, too. Like, this is not a brand new player. What was that? This guy's got too much good loot for me, and I definitely don't want to drop my potions or anything like that. He just sat there placing that trap while a barbarian was running at him with a felling axe. If a barbarian gets close to you with a felling axe, you are going to die. I don't think that thing can hit me from there. Low magic interact speed on barbarian. And so yeah, basically, if someone is saying anything but cheaters is going to kill this game or killed any other looter extraction game, they are wrong. Do not listen to them. They do not understand how these video games work. They have zero understanding. Do not listen to them. And they are not someone to be listened to. But anyways, guys, if you guys liked this video and would like to see more gameplay commentary videos like this, subscribe for more.